one power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names. Different is only dangerous. We forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, so what power can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon, for it's the love that's most deep. It's one power. It's one power. Yeah, it's what we are. One power. One power. One power. It's the power of the love and you and me. One power.
Without a warning, without a sound, we woke up one morning to a world turned upside down. Everything changed in the blink of an eye, dealing with the unknown and trying to survive. We were locked down in our homes, surrounded by bad news every day, watching our lives as we knew it quickly fade away. And when this is all over, in our new reality, we'll be gathered together. Will we still stay apart 6 feet? Will the music be playing like it did before? When this is all over, I'll treasure each day even more. We've been through quite a battle, like none we've ever seen. We kept hoping we'd wake up to find out it was all a bad dream. But that day's never come. It'll be a while yet, with more obstacles to overcome and challenges to be met. We were locked down in our homes, surrounded by bad news every day, watching our lives as we knew it quickly fade away. And when this is all over, in our new reality, when we gather together, will we still stay apart 6 feet? Will the music be playing like it did before? When this is all over, I'll treasure each day even more. We were locked down in our homes, surrounded by bad news every day, watching our lives as we knew it quickly fade away. And when this is all over, in our new reality, when we gather together, will we still stay apart 6 feet? Will the music be playing like it did before? When this is all over, I'll treasure each day even more. And when this is all over, I'll treasure each day even more.
There's a part of me that knows the answer to every question before I ask it. There's a part of you that knows the answer to every question before you ask it. 'Cause we are one. We are one. We are one, and we know what to do. We are one. We are one. We are one, and we know what to do. There's a part of me that knows what to say before I open my mouth to speak. And there's a part of you that knows what to say before you open your mouth to speak. 'Cause we are one, we are one, we are one, and we know what to say. We are one, we're listening. We are one, receiving. We are one as we walk through our day, believing. 'Cause we are one, we are one, we are one, we are one. We know what to do.
I stand for love, I stand for peace, I stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope, I stand for you.
I stand for love, I stand for peace, I stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope, I stand for you.
You know our world is in great pain, she needs our loving care again. But there are those who fail to see what we have done and what we need.
There is a cost for every act, and now there is no turning back. We burn a bridge, we bang a drum. It's time to rise, the time has come to stand for love,
to stand for peace, to stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true, to stand for hope, to stand for you. If you're thinking it's not urgent, that we've got more time to kill, if I'm not the one who'll change things, then for heaven's sake, who will? So I will move and I will climb that mountain once
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed
Welcome to the Pod Sunday service. We are a multi-faith community, and we believe that there are many paths to one divinity. So what does that mean for you watching this on a Sunday morning, a Sunday evening, or on your own leisure time? That means that we have 9 different faith speakers, different perspectives perhaps, and we give them a topic, and that becomes a series. They all speak on the same topic. We also have 10 musicians who contribute 2 videos per week, and we give them the same instruction, 1 word. And we ask them to dive into their repertoire or create something special for that series. And then we send it all into Philip Lupo, and he makes magic happen. And you can join us in that endeavor by connecting to www.peopleofdiversity.org, hitting the donate button, and setting yourself up for a weekly, monthly, or whatever you choose to style tithe, and join this community with us.
Last week, we are on the topic of community, and last week we had just an amazing presentation by Dean Martineau, helped in the background by Judy Barant, and their musical guest was David Roth. It was really good. If you missed it, go back to the Facebook page, and you can go to the live category on the Facebook pages and watch that. It was really good. This week we have our Muslim representative, Nuran Sykes, and she already gave me a little hint about how she's going to approach this community topic, and it's going to be good, and that's all I'm going to say. Next week we round up our community topic. There'll be the last installment with our newest speaker, Solidia Junis, all the way from New York. And her musical guest, she's speaking from a Christian perspective, and her musical guest will be Donna Frost.
Yay.
So yeah, that'll be a good day. So, and just so you know, our next topic is prayer. We're going to start that in a couple more weeks. So prayer, that should be a really interesting topic and see what all these different people have to say about that one common but not ordinary thing, prayer. So. Past services are available on the Facebook page, as I mentioned. Go up to the top of the page where it says live, and you can go down and find any of our past services on there. And right after the morning service, starting at 11:45 until 12:15, we will be doing a live Zoom deep dive. The link is on the screen, and you can join us for that. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes the speakers are able to join us, and sometimes they can't, but we're always on there, and we get to see each other and chat and talk about the service and whatever else is going on. So, and we keep it to 30 minutes, so you know that by 12:15 you'll be done and can go on with your day. We'll rebroadcast this service tonight at 5:45, and there won't be a deep dive after it, but it's on Facebook Live, so that's fun as well. And if you want to get Facebook notifications about our services, then go to the People of Diversity Facebook group or Facebook page, either one, and just ask to join. We'll let you in, I promise. And that way you'll get notifications when the services are coming up, like when we post the events and things like that. So. Save the date. We've been talking about this a little bit, and we're working on getting it together, but we want everybody to save the date and also pass the word about this. If you are out there in the community, this is going to be a really amazing evening. April 7th from 7 till 8:30, we're going to have all of our speakers are going to be joining us. Rabbi Pat Hickman will not be able to join us live, but she's going to send her stuff in video, so that's almost as good. So we're going to have all 9 of our faiths represented by our speakers, and we're going to give them each a chance to introduce themselves and their faith. And then also we're going to have a few questions that we are going to throw out there, and each one of the speakers will have a couple of minutes to answer that question from their faith perspective. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a lot of fun, and something that the speakers are looking forward to as well. They have been very enthusiastic with their response. And in fact, a couple of them have been asking us to do this for a long time. So the reason we're picking April 7th, which is a Wednesday night, is that is our 2-year anniversary of being a multi-faith community. So come out, pass the word, join us for that. It's going to be a great night. So, every week we bless a state, and if you have pictures or fun facts or things you'd like to share about the state that's coming up next week, then send those to the email address below, and we'll use them in our state blessing. Next week is South Dakota. I don't even know anybody from South Dakota, so if you do, or you are from South Dakota, and you have a couple little pictures in your stash, whatever, send them to us and we'll use them. This week is South Carolina. I threatened last week that I was going to show a bunch of pictures of myself in South Carolina, but I decided that probably wasn't a good idea. So, here are the fun facts that I got about South Carolina, sorry. South Carolina. The Civil War began in South Carolina at Fort Sumter in 1861. South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union, and even went so far as to print their own money and created their own postage stamps. South Carolina grows and ships more peaches than any other state except California, even more than Georgia, which is well known for their peaches. South Carolina grows more. The angel oak on John's Island is thought to be the oldest living thing east of the Mississippi, and it's more than 1,500 years old. The first public college, the first museum, and the first playhouse in the United States all were from South Carolina. It's the only state to own and operate its own school bus system, its own fleet of buses. The submarine was invented in South Carolina in 1863. I like this one. Ginger ale was invented in South Carolina in 1903. And I thought this was really interesting to end up on. Gerald Barber of Greenville, South Carolina, invented the first free fall amusement park ride. But not only that, he also invented wind turbines. Now, a lot of wind involved with both of those, but it's hard to see how those two things relate. That guy must have really been an interesting person. So we hold the people of South Carolina in our hearts, knowing they want the same thing in their lives that we want in ours. And we vision them happy, healthy, safe, and we say these words together. May peace prevail in South Carolina. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in me.
Nuran Sykes is our Muslim representative, and all round. What's her pickleball? Right?
Pickleball, yeah.
All round pickleball champion. And they don't sound like they go together until you meet Nuran, and then you realize that here's this regular human walking around just of a different faith. And coming from Nuran, it comes in with a deep and profound passion. So we're looking forward to hearing what she has to say about community, and we'll see you on the other side.
Wondering why you're not here, wondering why I'm not there, working out all my past experience. So much change I'm fighting to understand God's universal plan. Then I see that you never really left. It's so clear that you're still here. You're still here, guiding and comforting me. Oh, you're still here, you're still here, and now you're free. afraid to live. You weren't afraid to die, standing strong. Even when the others tried to make you weak, you knew of a guarantee of immortality granted you by the grace of God above. It's so clear that you're still here. You're still here, guiding and comforting me. You're still here. You're still here, and now you're free. So it's important to recognize that when people make their transition and change form, they're still here in spirit, reminding us to laugh and smile, reminding us the truth of who we are, giving us messages, sharing their love. It's painful to the human body and the emotions. The spirit knows that all is well, and we will be rejoined again, because the eternal part of us has always been and always will be. I'm not afraid to live. I'm not afraid to die, following in the path you left behind. It's so clear that you're still here. You're still here, guiding and comforting me. Oh, you're still here. You're still here, and now we're free. Though the stores are shutting down, please don't feel blue. For in this time of quarantine, the light shines through. Don't believe the things you've read. You never know what's up ahead, living through these COVID-19 times. This song was originally sung by Lin-Manuel Miranda in Mary Poppins Returns, and I changed a few lyrics to make it more appropriate for today. Yesterday you had to borrow from your chums, waiting on your stimulus checks to come. But since you're stuck here anyway, tomorrow's here, it's cold today. Living through these COVID-19 times. Make yourself a mask, wear a pair of gloves. There's a carry-out restaurant if you just look it up. I know Corona's gonna disappear, it won't be long. Sooner than you think you'll hear a bright new song. So hold on tight to those you love, and maybe soon from up above you'll be blessed. So keep on looking high while we're going through this COVID-19 time. We'll get through this time. As I live and breathe, it's Mary Poppins.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings of God be to all of you. Today I would encourage us to contemplate about community, women's role in society, and community and gender equality. The first thing about community, in the Quran that rivets you is its massive emphasis. Aside from the topics of faith and the oneness of God, Ummah, Muslim nation, community, in its various forms is the most widely mentioned concept. It establishes community as the standard by which we are to understand and reflect upon humankind. When I think of community, this verse of the Holy Quran, chapter 49, verse 13, it's Al-Hujurat, translated to mean the apartments always comes to mind. O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes that you might get to know one another. Surely the noblest of you in the sight of God is he or she who is the most righteous. Our Creator is all knowledgeable, all aware. In all the studies that I've done, this refers to the monotheistic faiths or the Abrahamic faiths. Community in the Arabic language is ummah or which also translates to mean mother, which is an integral part of a thriving community. It is not by chance that these two meanings are synonymous. And later on, I would like to address women in Islam and gender equality because, needless to say, the lack of equality in any community would hinder its success. The Creator tells us that in the beginning, humankind was one ummah, one community, but circumstances divided the people. Ummah is also mentioned in the Quran in relation to communities with their own messengers. For example, the Quran uses the word ummah to refer to the Prophet, to refer to the communities of the past, such as the ummah of Prophet Moses and the ummah of the Prophet Jesus. Virtually every human language has a word for community. How could it be otherwise when community is the core essence of the human experience? We are creatures of community. To live as part of one fulfills the most natural inclination to society that thrives in almost every one of us. This is the reason that the notion of community, simple, innate, intuitively understood, never did call for much discussion. It was that fundamental. Still, community remains in wide use among all people. We invoke it at every turn because it is deep in our fitra. And the the English translation for the word fitra is the natural disposition upon which the Almighty created humankind. Our inherent tendency toward virtue. For community alone holds all earthly hope for our shared happiness and brotherhood or sisterhood. It is a strange phenomenon that something as ancient as community, a given for the pre-moderns, despite their technological and informational deficiencies, has become a cause of primary challenge in our time, and at what price? Our Black brothers and sisters, our LGBTQ+, and many marginalized communities are suffering because the fitra, the natural disposition or inherent tendency toward the virtue, are not intact. The ethos of Muslims is that we all work for the same cause, which is to worship our Creator with our heart, mind, body, and soul, and eventually reach paradise. And the only way to be exalted is to work and love the diverse community. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, fled persecution, migrated from Mecca to Medina in the year 622 from the persecution of the Meccans. He started Muwaika and formed a treaty. It's a brother and sisterhood, where all people were treated fairly and equally, with only one condition, that the whole community had to pay a tax. We are probably aware of the gender inequality that has prevailed in countries highly populated by Muslims. And I want to say, I want you guys to know I didn't say Muslim communities or Muslim countries. And the reason being is because there is no Muslim country in the world today. Take note, This is what a Muslim country would look like, folks. People would be allowed to practice their faith freely. Women will be able to choose their spouses. And if there was a war, no elderly, children or civilians would be killed. Places of worship would not be attacked. And the list goes on. So now I want to also address, this is International Women's Month. And March 8th is International Women's Day. Wow. In Islam, there is nothing like Women's Day. All days belong to women as they belong to men too. When it comes to practicing Islam, there is no difference between men and women. We are all obliged to follow the 5 pillars of Islam, that is to believe in one God, perform the 5 daily prayers, pay the zakah, which is a charity, making pilgrimage to Mecca, and then fasting the month of Ramadan, which is 36 days away. Islam equates men to women. God says in the Quran, in chapter Al-Azhab, verse 35, which is translated to mean the Confederates, indeed, the Muslim men and Muslim women, the believing men and believing women, the obedient men and obedient women, the truthful men and truthful women, the patient men and patient women, the humble men and humble women, the charitable men and charitable women, the fasting men and fasting women, the men who guard their private parts and the women who do so, and the men who remember God often and the women who do so. For them, God, our Creator, has prepared forgiveness and a great reward. The tradition that says that women are incomplete in intellect and religion is being misinterpreted by many. So I also have to say, I've got to mention marriage, because often in Islam, or I shouldn't say in Islam, the practitioners of the Muslim faith, because Islam to Muslims is, the religion is perfect, but obviously the practitioners are not. Marriage is worship, the Creator, which is a must to both men and women, and this practice is a covenant. In chapter 4, verse 21, which mankind, men and women, will have to answer to on the day of resurrection. And this shows how equal men and women are before our Creator, God. When Islam decrees it is only women or men who are obliged to act, but both parties. For example, jihad, which is the struggle in the way of God, is permissible to both men and women. Permission was given to those who are fought against because they were wronged, and truly God is powerful and helps them. If you read the history of Islam, you will find that during the Prophet's time, peace and blessings be upon him, and after his demise, women participated in jihad, which is the war. Apart from some of them participating in active combat, they could give first aid and other moral support to the wounded warriors. This shows how equal men and women are in Islam. The role of a caretaker is more suited to women by nature. That's why they serve more in that role. This does not mean the medical corps in any army are inferior. They are actually the lifeline of any army. To sum it up, one can argue and say that Islam elevated a woman in so many areas. Islam does not allow oppression of women. Women are not men's property as some cultures perceive, and a girl child must have similar treatment and rights like a boy child. Educating a girl is as compulsory as it is to a boy. The only difference is that girls are more vulnerable to so many issues like discrimination and sexual abuse. Offering women just a day in the entire year is an indicator of how much work we need to do or we need to correct. However, it is not enough. More has to be done to educate the world that women are equal to men. In Islam, every day is Women's Day. The true importance of women in Islam, the first person to embrace Islam was a woman, and that was the Prophet's first wife, Khadija. She was married, they were married for 25 years before she passed away. Sorry, my phone is going off. The greatest scholar of Islam was a woman, that was Aisha. That was also the wife of the Prophet. And the person, I don't want to say it was the wife of the Prophet after the first one died. The person who loved the Prophet the most was Fatima, and this was his daughter. Despite misconceptions, the status of woman in Islam is that of a beloved equal. In the midst of a deeply sexist historical context, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, preached boldly on the importance of women, celebrating their unique contributions to family and condemning the ill treatment of women and campaigning for their rights. Many of the negative stereotypes around women in Islam arise not from Islamic guidance, but from cultural practices. Which not only denigrate the rights and experiences of women, but also stand in direct opposition to the teachings of God, our Creator, and our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, Prophet Muhammad. Far from the stereotype of the voiceless and veiled Muslim woman, Sheikh Ibn Abbas argues there is no doubt that Islam came to honor the woman, guard her, protect her from the wolves of mankind, secure her rights, and raise her status. With all the confusion between history, culture, and religion, it's important to ask ourselves the question, what do the Quran and the Hadith, which Hadith is the practices of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, actually teach us about the status of women in Islam? What does Islam teach us about gender equality? The Quran teaches that Adam and Eve were created from the same soul, both equally guilty, equally responsible, and equally valued. As Muslims, we believe that all human beings are born in a pure state, men and women, and that we must strive to preserve this purity through faith, as well as good intentions and deeds. The theme of equality runs through other Islamic teachings too. An important verse in chapter 9, verse 71 of the Quran, it reads like this: the men believers and women believers are responsible for each other. They enjoin the good and forbid the evil. They observe prayers and give charitable alms and obey God and the Messenger, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This verse shows that men and women have equal responsibilities for observing Islamic teachings. Another Quranic verse lays out the status of women and men as equals. Chapter 16, verse 97. To whoever, male or female, does good deeds and has faith, we shall give a good life and reward them according to the best of their actions. In 1610 CE, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was living in historical context rooted in sexism. From Europe to the Arabic world, women were not treated as equal to men. Islam itself was born in the Arabian Peninsula, now Saudi Arabia, where women did not have businesses or own property or inherit money. Forced marriage was common, education for girls was rare, and female babies were often abandoned or buried alive. How barbaric. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his wife, this businesswoman wife, Khadija, stood against many of these unjust practices, advocating for men to treat women and girls with the utmost respect. According to the laws of Islam, all life is considered sacred, and men and women have the right to choose whom they marry and should never be forced into it. Under Islamic laws, women also have the right to sell and buy properties. Run businesses, demand her dowry at any point during her marriage. So the dowry often is misunderstood to be a gift to the family, which it is not. It is actually a gift to the woman. So she can demand it at any time during her marriage. And the dowry helps her so that she can have her own autonomy. So demand her dowry at any point during her marriage, vote and take an active part in all aspects of politics and society. It is notable that many Muslim countries such as Turkey and Pakistan have had female presidents. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, also promoted equal access to education, teaching us that the pursuit of knowledge is a duty of every Muslim, man and woman. The beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, peace and blessings be upon him, his own daughter Fatima was highly educated and respected. It is documented that whenever Fatima entered the room, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, would stand up and give his seat to her. One gender cannot accomplish the mission without the other. We unite to work together as a community. The tragic irony of Islam is that its sacred text, the Quran, is particularly solicitous of women's well-being and development. Yet Islamic traditions discriminate against girls from the moment of their lamented birth. Islam is proud to have abolished female infanticide, yet one of the most common crimes in many Muslim countries is the honor killing of women by male relatives. The Quranic description of marriage suggests closeness, mutuality, and equality, but tradition defines a husband as his wife's God in earthly form, despite the Quran prohibition against human deification as the one unpardonable sin, her gateway to heaven and the arbiter of her final destiny. The Quran permits divorce without fault, but Muslim societies have made divorce both legally and socially very difficult for women. The Quran stipulates that both parents must concur on the raising of their children and not use the children against each other. But in many countries highly populated by Muslims, divorced women automatically lose custody of their children when the boys turn 7 and the girls turn 12. Muslim traditions have misinterpreted the Quran's spirit and intention in the matters of polygamy, inheritance rights, and so on. Also, according to the veiling of a woman. These customs were originally intended to protect women and even guarantee women autonomy. They have become instead instruments of oppression. The Quran does not prohibit family planning. A review of the literature suggests ample religious and ethical support for family planning, but there is the mistaken impression that family planning is anti-Islam. The challenge for all women, and especially Muslim women, is to move from a reactive mindset in which women must assert their autonomy over patriarchal opposition to a proactive mindset in which they can speak of themselves as full and independent human beings with minds and spirits as well as bodies. Muslim women must work in full partnership with Muslim men, rejecting Western models of liberation, but also, and more importantly, asserting their own. Honor given to women in Islam more than any other religion. I'm so sorry, but my allergies are acting up. Women in Islam are thought to be subjugated, degraded, oppressed. But are they really? Are millions of Muslims simply that oppressive? Or are these misconceptions fabricated by a biased media? And for women, are rights over men similar to those of men over women? This is in the Quran, chapter 2, verse 228. Over 1400 years ago, Islam gave women rights that women in the West have only recently begun to enjoy. Men and women all descended from a single soul, the Prophet Adam, peace and blessings be upon him. Islam does not accept for either of them anything but justice and kind treatment. Men and women worship God in the same way, meaning they worship the same God, Allah, in Islam, perform the same acts of worship, follow the same scripture, and hold the same beliefs. God, Allah is the Arabic word for God, judges all human beings fairly and equitably. God emphasizes the just treatment and reward due to both men and women in many verses in the Holy Quran. The Creator has promised to the believers, men and women, gardens under which rivers flow, to dwell therein, and beautiful mansions and gardens of everlasting bliss. This is in the Quran, chapter 9, verse 72. Never will I allow the loss of the work of any worker amongst you, male and female. You are of one another. Also in the Quran, chapter 3, verse 195. These verses show that the reward is dependent upon one's actions and not one's gender. Gender does not play any part in how a person is rewarded and judged. If we compare Islam to other religions, we see that it offers justice between the sexes. For example, Islam dismisses the idea that Eve is more to blame than Adam for eating from the forbidden tree. According to Islam, Adam and Eve both sinned, they both repented, and God forgave them both. Both men and women are equal, encouraged to seek knowledge. Education is compulsory for every Muslim, and this is what our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said. Also, great female Muslim scholars existed around the time of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Some were from his family, and others were from his companions or their daughters. Prominent amongst them was Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, through whom a quarter of the Islamic law has been transmitted. Remember, I mentioned hadith, and this is the traditions or the sayings of the Prophet. She recorded a quarter of the Islamic law. So the traditions were passed on. Other females were great scholars of jurisprudence and had famous male scholars as their students. Islam has honored women by giving them the right to choose a spouse and keep their original family name once married. Additionally, many have the impression that parents force their daughters into marriage. This is a cultural practice and has no basis in Islam. In fact, it is prohibited. I mentioned that before. At the time of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, a woman came to him and said, "My father has married me to my cousin to raise his social standing, and I was forced into it. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent for the girl's father, and then in his presence gave the girl the option of remaining married or nullifying the marriage. She responded, "O messenger of God, I have accepted what my father did, but I wanted to show other women that they could not be forced into marriage." Examples of positive improvements of the lives of women during the time of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and how women are talked about in the Sublime Quran. Of course, we mentioned that the female infanticide was prohibited. The dowry is another way that the lives of women have been improved. So, in honor of today being just one of the many days that symbolizes the phenomenal progress and record-breaking achievements of Muslim women across all nations and disciplines, Vogue Arabia spoke to iconic trailblazers who are striving to change the outdated narrative of a woman trapped by the walls of prejudice to one who shatters each and every glass ceiling that tries to limit any untapped opportunity they have set their sights on. From Nobel Peace Prize-winning activists and history-making American politicians to world-renowned hijabi models and athletes, the hijab is the head covering. Discover the lessons learned and dreams envisioned of the change makers continuously pushing the boundaries of development further and uplifting future generations of Muslim women higher with each unprecedented accomplishment. Malala Yousafzai, female education activist, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, and co-founder of the Malala Fund. International Women's Day provides an opportunity to foster religious tolerance worldwide and combat information or misinformation directed at the Muslim community. It's important to reflect and celebrate the many Muslim women who have inspired me and countless others. One of the first women elected to the United States Congress was Ilham Omar and the Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. Women's History Month and International Women's Day truly exemplifies the spirit of Islam. Today we join the global campaign to celebrate the achievements of women in the past and for the future and explore how we are currently empowering women. Islam enjoins us to stand up for justice, and we are ultimately commanded to work directly and indirectly to positively impact women in their struggles for gender justice, which is a God-given right. It is my prayer that the status of women, based on Quran and the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, be supported for their equality, development, and peace. It is my prayer that just as slavery was eliminated, that gender disparity in education and training will be eliminated too. It is my prayer that women and girls again be given equal access to continuous quality of education. Islam recognized education not as an opportunity but as an obligation for men and women equally, which will improve the status of a community. Islam promotes the equal value and importance of women, girls, men and boys to society, and the importance of equity in treatment of all people, regardless of their status, which forms a harmonious community. This month, day, provides an opportunity to foster religious tolerance worldwide and combat misinformation about the value of women in Islam. It is important to reflect and celebrate the many Muslim women who have inspired me and countless others. It is important to recognize the value and accomplishments of today's women I ask you all to pray for Muslim women around the world, as we are under major scrutiny. And we should pray that not only Muslim women, but women around the world who make our communities thrive and improve the status of our communities should be recognized. I thank you all. Thank you. Peace and blessings be upon you all.
Fran, you are just, you have done the epitome of what we were hoping would be done with this multi-faith effort. We have had so many amazing talks from you and your husband, and learned so much about a faith that a lot of people may be afraid of, or may have judgments about. And you are just a beautiful, wonderful human being, and I love you so much, and thank you. Philip,
Whoop, whoop.
yeah, Philip, we always give kudos to Philip, but every single time they're heartfelt, and he just does such a great job, and takes in stride whatever might happen during the week, and puts it together for us, and puts this out like it's effortless, and we so appreciate it. If you have needs in this world, contact Philip at the contact information below, and he'll be able to help you out. Join us for the deep dive immediately following the service at 11:45 until 12:15, and join us again tonight at 5:45. We will rebroadcast this service, and we'll be on the Facebook Live, so we can chit-chat if you like. And it goes until 5:45 until around 7 o'clock, a little before probably. And so join us for that, and we will see you next week.
So, www.peopleofdiversity.org. Again, there's that donate button, and make the choice that you're moved to make, and join us in community. So let's take a moment now and just say thank you for those tithes, for those offerings. Just take a deep breath, plant your feet on the ground. Spirit, we thank you for community. We thank you for the circulation that's created around us. We thank you for the opportunity to be involved in that, and to allow ourselves to grow and to be a part of that which is growing. And we say together, amen. Amen. So, don't click off just yet. Our energetic healing circle wraps up our service. So if you'll think of the folks that are in your life, your neighborhood, perhaps even on the television in the world, that have touched your heart, that need some love, that need some support, think of them in your mind's eye, bring them into your heart, and as we listen to this closing song, we'll all send out energy to those people, to those folks, and to the people who are charged with leading this dance on this planet. So we'll see you in the deep dive directly after 6 o'clock tonight, or next week, or some point through that week. Have an amazing week.
One power, one power, one power, one power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, Call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of